Hi friends, welcome to the NPTEL course on entrepreneurship. In this session, we will consider several startup case studies which throw further light on the way entrepreneurship develops and becomes successful. As you are aware, during the last several sessions, we have considered multiple concepts relating to entrepreneurship and startups. We have also weaved in several real life examples to either reinforce those concepts or to draw additional concepts from those case studies. We have considered global unicorns, we have considered Indian unicorns, we have considered potential unicorns in this process. We also considered and discussed why startups succeed and why they do not, based on again real life examples. While that way we have discussed several case studies which have a significant impact on the development of theory and practice of entrepreneurship. In this module, we are going to concentrate on 12 case studies of companies which have been founded by people who are known to me. Those individuals were either students or professional employees of companies. Of course, within the 12, I haven't named one company by name, but I structured it as a hypothetical food processing company. So, let us see what these case studies teach us. Now, why should we study case studies as part of entrepreneurship? We have discussed that entrepreneurship is an extremely challenging aspect of industrial development. We also considered the multiple viewpoints that indicate that entrepreneurs are a rare species. If that is so, if entrepreneurship is something which is driven by a personality trait of an individual, is it appropriate to look at entrepreneurship through case study filter? The answer to that lies in these two quotations. The first is by Peter Drucker, the noted management guru, who says that entrepreneurship is neither magical nor mysterious. In his opinion, entrepreneurship is a discipline like any other managerial discipline, therefore it can be learned. Kuratko, who has authored several works on entrepreneurship, adds, like all disciplines, entrepreneurship has models, processes and case studies. So, it is very appropriate therefore that we also look at certain case studies and see how people develop their entrepreneurial ventures from ground zero. This module presents 12 case studies of startups that were established by either professionals or students and developed by them on path of success and sustainability. In each case, the entrepreneurs overcame the vicissitudes of entrepreneurial journey. Again, in each case, we have certain points of learning which are summarized as key takeaways. What are these 12 entrepreneurial endeavors? Recon Pharma, Ingenious Combination is one entrepreneurial venture, Gross is another, Natsol is another, Resource Bridge, Consumex, iClean, Myntra, Chennai Business School, Piliogere Travels, NotionPress.com and the hypothetical food products venture apart from Om Wellness and Healing Center. These firms cover a range of settings from pharmaceutical to engineering and also from manufacturing to retail, again from educational to culinary services. Therefore, they reflect multiple industrial settings and they also lead us to multiple innovative startup models that could be considered in each of these industrial settings. To clarify further, the industrial settings of these 12 entrepreneurial ventures are as follows. Recon Pharma is a science-based pharmaceutical startup. Gross is an entrepreneurial firm dedicated to the engineering industry. Natsol is again another science-based firm but in the nutraceutical space. Resource Bridge is a human resource service startup. Consumex Industries is what the new technology movement, the new startup movement is. It is a technology-driven smart variable startup. iClean is an import substituting engineering startup. Myntra is already established, it has grown to a particular level. It was a subsidiary of Flipkart and continues to be. This reflects a model of e-commerce transformation under a professional CEO. We discussed in one of the modules beyond founders and founder families. This reflects certain of the learnings relevant to that aspect. Chennai Business School is an educational startup, again a very unique venture. Piliogere Travels is a social entrepreneurial enterprise which builds a community of like-minded people, again an interesting and offbeat venture. Notion Press is a self-publishing startup. It is a leading startup in the self-publishing arena. Om Wellness and Healing Center is a wellness startup with a social purpose And finally, the hypothetical food product startup, which teaches us a generic model of establishing a startup in an emulative fashion. It's also interesting that these 12 cases reflect the various entrepreneurial classifications we have discussed. We discussed that entrepreneurship could be replicative or innovative. When we say replicative, a business model which the startup follows is already available by and large in the industry. When we say innovative, the business model is not available in the industry and has been developed for the first time by the entrepreneur. Again, these terms are relative. The innovative model may not be available in India, but could be available elsewhere. But when we draw the overall boundaries for entrepreneurship development with a national boundary, we can pretty much see how these companies fall under replicative entrepreneurship or innovative entrepreneurship. So, Gross, which looks at the engineering tools, Chennai Business School, Resource Bridge, Myntra, iClean, food products company, they reflect replicative entrepreneurship. Whereas innovative entrepreneurship exists in Consumex Industries Private Limited, trying to discover something new, trying to invent something for the first time in the smart wearables category in India. Similarly, Recon Pharma Engineers trying to develop novel formulations, Natsol trying to develop novel plant-based ingredients for nutraceutical and wellness industries, Notion Press, first self-publishing venture of the kind and of the scale, Puliogre Travels in the culinary service area, and Om Wellness and Healing Center, again patient cure in a completely different manner. Interestingly, these 12 cases also fulfill certain other classifications we discussed. We discussed that entrepreneurship should be opportunity driven, that is, people see an opportunity in the marketplace, therefore they set up the startup ventures. Entrepreneurship could also be driven by necessity, the sheer necessity on the part of the entrepreneur of finding something very useful to do, or the necessity for the customers to find something very interesting immediately. We also said that employees themselves could be on the entrepreneurship pathway even when they are employed in a particular organization, and entrepreneurial ventures need not exactly be social in the true sense of the term, but they could also fulfill social purpose. So, these categories again are fulfilled by these 12 case studies: the engineering tool venture, the fashion venture, the human resources venture, the wellness ingredients venture, smart wearables venture, and the hypothetical food products venture. These are based on the opportunities that exist in the marketplace. The Om Wellness and Healing Center was based on the necessity for the promoter to have an avocation which is useful and helpful for himself as well as for the society. Notionpress.com similarly again was born out of the necessity to do something to meet the publishing needs, to start with their own. There were 3 ventures which were set up by employees when they were still under employment. They planned for it, they executed them partially, and then they moved on. Social entrepreneurship, the community building efforts of Puliogre Travels, that falls under social entrepreneurship in a sense. Again, these 4 ventures classifications, again these 4 venture classifications could be replicative or innovative entrepreneurship. So, this is therefore an interesting mosaic of 6 types of entrepreneurship which we have discussed all through the course, and you will find that there are companies which reflect these types of classifications. So, let us first focus on Recon Pharma. Recon Pharma LLC was set up by Dr. B. Praveen Reddy, whom I knew very well as a leading pharmaceutical scientist in Orchid Pharma when he was heading our formulations division. Orchid Pharma itself was a first generation enterprise, therefore, there was that entrepreneurial air in the company. He was a leader of exceptional caliber, he knew different kinds of formulations, and he was also a great organization builder and team manager. Apparently, he felt that his capabilities extend far beyond what he could do for a single company, and potentially he could serve the larger pharmaceutical industry in a broader fashion. Therefore, he teamed up with certain co-founders, and even as he was employed in the company, started working on this idea and created along with his co-promoters Recon Pharma LLC in New Jersey in October 2007. But the core of this venture was Recon Pharma India, because that company would have the ability to bring in the Indian frugal advantage to the development of formulations, and it was managed by Praveen once he left Orchid that year. By developing multiple dosage forms or multiple formulations, even different types of dosage forms, very quickly Recon Pharma India could establish a critical mass, and some of them could be marketed to other marketing partners, and a quick start for the company could be achieved. Heading this company, Praveen practiced rapidly in development. He achieved faster go to market and also learned to combine the best of exploratory research with the best of conclusive research. And he had an ability to assemble a team of competent scientists at short notice and train them to target greater accomplishments. So, that was the base with which the company was successful. However, Recon Pharma also reflects that even well crafted entrepreneurial ventures could enter choppy waters. As I said, the key assumption of Recon Pharma was that there was this Indian formulation development advantage, and there was the huge $1 billion opportunities that exist in the US market for the abbreviated new drug applications, called in short ANDAs by Indian pharmaceutical companies, and which could be manufactured either in India or in other countries. So, despite the rapid and successful ramp up in the first 4 years, there were environmental challenges which were impacting Recon Pharma. In the past, the US FDA was not charging any significant fees for approval of ANDAs and for inspection of the facilities which turned out those ANDAs. However, the backlog of ANDAs grew to such an extent because of the low budget allocations for US FDA for generics evaluation, that US FDA and the US government thought of a different model. The model was on getting extra fees, steep increases in fees from ANDA submissions as well as from facility programs. So, as a result, during the period 2012 to 2014, on one hand there was a huge backlog of ANDAs which had their own lengthening queue times. There was also this additional burden of having higher fees for filing of ANDAs and also for coasting through the entire approval process. Therefore, there was uncertainty caused by the regulatory changes. So, whatever business plan that was made or the business model that was the basis for the Recon Pharma venture was plagued by some kind of uncertainty, which meant that private equity was a little diffident to support the venture. The company saw tough times between 2012 and 2014, and that was also the time when the founders as well as the team faced the entrepreneurial litmus test for grit and passion. At that point of time, the company had few strategic options, but they did bite the bullet and decided to take the acquisition help from a larger company, Ingenus Pharmaceuticals, which also happened to be a marketing partner, so that the firm could achieve greater strength. So, with greater resources, the company could achieve an increase of team strength as also the ANDA pipeline. The company also became a more global enterprise with presence in US, EU and India. Therefore, from an India and New Jersey specific company, Recon became a much more US, Europe, India spread out company. By 2017, the merged entity had a pipeline of 60 ANDAs. I believe it has increased to over 80 ANDAs now, and the development capacity was a significant 20 ANDAs per year. So, this example tells us how an India specific startup with core technology and management as the key competencies could last through tough times and evolve into a global enterprise through appropriate partnership. And the appropriate partnership was made when the company had the early critical mass to demonstrate its capability and assure the partner that yes, here is a vehicle that could deliver on the goals in spite of the changing landscape. So, when you look at the model you can say has been of a 4-stage model. One, there is this India competitive advantage which endures even now, which can help lean development of pharmaceutical products out of India, a critical mass of ANDA portfolio in multiple dosage forms, that is the India competitive advantages which is demonstrated. The second phase comprises survival in external turbulence, headwinds are inescapable, search for partners and survival and growth also become imperatives, and this is the phase when the entrepreneurial litmus test of grit and passion takes place. The third phase is one of corporate resurgence, when the companies merge their strengths, achieve enhanced operational and financial strength, a larger team and a bigger portfolio of ANDS. This also provides an access to manufacturing footprint as it offered in the case of Engineers Recon merger. Ultimately, the final phase is one of global competitive advantage, which has an optimized global footprint both for development and manufacturing, a wider therapeutic portfolio and complex generics and scheduled drugs, and the ability to make even injectables as required, particularly for areas such as oncology. So, in terms of the key takeaways, the success model for science and technology startup could be discussed and presented in this manner. 1. Technical competence is the startup seed. Without technical competence, there is no starting point, but this model emphasizes the technical competence helps the company establish a critical mass, and once the critical mass is established and proven, it provides not only strength internally, but also provides attractiveness externally. Second, India as the base for efficient and effective technical delivery. There are no two opinions that India provides the necessary wherewithal for frugal development of formulations and also supply in the global markets. The third one is rapid lean development with high product quality. Agility. Agility of manufacture, agility of development characterize Indian pharmaceutical market, and that has been demonstrated in ample measure by Recon. The products have been complex, therefore intellectual property could be built and product assets could be monetized from time to time. However, this model had also been successful because of the course corrections which the company could do at the appropriate rather than hold on to the first developed model, and the company was open to merger for financial and technical synergy. So, it demonstrates that technological acumen coupled with strategic agility and entrepreneurial passion helps startups discover or rediscover their growth even in the face of environmental adversities. Then let us look at GROS tools. I would term this as a world of design thinking. GROS Engineering Tools Private Limited, GROS for short, was established in 1976 by Mr. Anil Bami, a first generation entrepreneur. Over the last 43 years, GROS took great strides to put India on the world map of tools. So, if you recall, during the 1970s and 1980s, India was particularly known for high quality manufacture, particularly in engineering and consumption facing product classifications. And India also was not a great place where people said that make in India meant a high quality out of India. However, that was the time when he decided that I will demonstrate to the world that quality products, particularly quality engineering products, could be manufactured out of India. So, he started with bicycle locks to German market, which itself was very well known and is still well known for the quality parameters the market adheres to. Based on the success, he expanded into tools and equipment in the early 80s, and thereafter there was no looking back for him. The last 4 decades has seen at GROS a continuous enhancement of the development and manufacturing capability, including computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing, and investments in manufacturing facilities across several regions of the nation. This was also supported by a match between the product expansion and manufacturing expansion. Today, GROS manufactures over 12,000 SKUs, which is a small number for a medium scale enterprise. It employs a skilled workforce of close to 2,000 people, operates in over 82 countries of the world with close to 50 million satisfied users. From hand tools, the range has been expanded to include greasing equipment, pneumatic and electric lubrication equipment too. And most importantly, all the tools are not only certified by the mark customers which the company supplies to, but the company itself has got several international certifications relevant to the tooling industry. So, the model adopted by GROS and the journey the company undertook was one of ambitious plans and focused execution of a young person who was determined to turn a humble beginning into a global enterprise. And the basis was an approach towards world class design and world class manufacturing based on a wide range of quality tools which multiple countries could find use for. There are the milestones for GROS which I have described in this chart. There were basically four periods: 1976 to 2000, 2003 to 2006, 2012 to 2017, and the current phase. In each of these phases, you could see the growth triggering development in a particular manner. Started with a home office in 1976, manufacturing bicycle locks. Kept expanding his facilities, and by the year 2000, Anil was managing close to 8 locations in North India. Then came the phase of manufacturing consolidation, when 5 manufacturing locations were brought under one roof, a modern manufacturing factory and with high level of backward integration. In 2006, he also acquired Accurate Products AP Tools based in Chennai. So, that expanded not only the regional footprint, de-risked the manufacturing base, and also added newer kinds of products to the portfolio. Set up another manufacturing unit at NSCZ Noida in 2012 to expand tool and equipment capacity. In 2017, he expanded the infrastructure at Accurate Chennai to set up a cold forging unit as well as to install high precision CNC machinery. The trend has always been on investment for computer aided manufacture and computer aided paint shop facilities. The manufacturing facilities have all the international certifications that are relevant for the manufacturing sector and also for the tools sector: ISO 9001, ISO 14001, quality and environmental systems respectively, and also IATF 16949 and VDE 6.3, relevant for the tooling industry. In all this journey, fulfilling customer centric design became a key motto at Gross. And also, as he was aging, he inducted Dhiren Bhami, his son, through calibrated move across several functions, and gave certain of the responsibilities which are forward looking. And there has been a clear division of responsibilities between the father and son duo as to how the company would be managed. The line of succession was clear, but also the lines of responsibility and accountability were also clear. So, when you look at it, despite the small and medium scale of operation, Gross developed as a well structured and well staffed organization, almost like a microcosm of a large industrial enterprise. So, the globalization for Gross was a wheel of development for Gross. It started with customer centricity of the highest order. Typically, the field staff would visit the various customers in their host countries and then see the tooling requirements and then come back with ideas and designs which the design department would work. So, the entire development and manufacturing plan was woven around the specific needs of customers. So, that has led to a proposition that design thinking should be not only confined to the design and development department, but should be spread across all the value chain, so that the customer needs could be met on an end-to-end basis. Therefore, there was this in-house manufacturing capacity for quality assurance, because quality is the most important parameter in export operations. Because the tooling requirements were so varied and also innovative in certain respects, the company required huge capacity to manage the customer orders which the field staff would bring every now and then. Therefore, supply chain management, which had a combined infrastructure of both in-house and external, that became very important. There was an aggressive global marketing development, and finally, the entrepreneurial leadership balance at the top. These were the drivers of Gross as the company set out on the global chain. From the point of key takeaways, what it says is that from a passion and commitment start point, the startup founder can do many things which may not be imagined by the environment at that point of time. So, it is only because of the passion and energy level of the founder that the national perception that existed against India's quality image could be fought successfully and finally emerged successfully even globally. So, the design thinking model, which was at the base of this kind of evolution, was based on understanding of customer needs from field visits, integration of design and manufacturing in everything which Gross did, operational excellence to get the best quality and the lowest cost position, elegance in design and perfection in manufacture. This is something which was a kind of very demonstrable fact throughout the company's facilities. Every door, for example, of the office is crafted in a handcrafted temple architecture manner, so to say. So, anyone who walks through these doors or is witness to the kind of perfection that exists in the office would understand that the DNA of the company is perfection in whatever they thought about and whatever they executed. So, elegance in design and perfection in manufacture became the DNA of the company. Mastery over outsourcing and supply chain for high product variety, and control over the entire design to delivery value chain. It is an instructive example of a founder who walked the talk, who aligned his team members constantly and continuously on the higher order goals which the company had, and therefore could create a unique organizational culture of competencies and competitiveness within the framework of a business model that was creative and powered by design thinking. This is an illustration of design thinking in an engineering setup.